Okay, so yeah, my name is Karol Trzeszczkowski. I'm also known as Licho. I'm the author of many smart contracts, such as Last Will, Mecenas, and tools to use them in Electron Cash. I'm a part of Bitcoin Cash community since after the split, so I'm not a Bitcoin OG. I'm interested in many fundamental problems related to cryptocurrencies. I recently worked on difficulty adjustment and most recently on memetics, but it was before Shama announced his contest, so it has nothing to do with this. I want to discuss the science of memetics. Probably most of the people involved in the space have heard the phrase that Bitcoin is mostly memes, but it doesn't mean the internet pictures of funny cats saying I can has a Bitcoin. Yeah, I wanted to analyze the memetic structure of Bitcoin Cash and other memetic beings and ask in what sense can they be considered to be alive, and maybe draw some conclusion that it may help us deal with such entities. So first, a primer on memetics. It was introduced in a book by Richard Dawkins, The Selfish Gene. And for a while it was I guess people were excited that what it may turn out to be, like how to militarize that. Maybe I don't know, it was during it was like in the 80s when it was hot, so maybe it was like for Cold War purposes. Maybe people thought that it will be, but it turned out not to be. And people lost interest in it, and it basically boiled down to saying that religion is a brain virus, and well, that's it. Nothing more productive from the science. Some philosophers were involved. So yeah, I think there are some journals right now, like scientific journals, that still publish something, but they are not very popular or impactful. So we know it mostly because there are internet memes. There are pictures that spread like viruses, and that's mostly what memetics is today. And memetics was created in inspiration with biology, right? So yeah, in biology there a meme was a meme was introduced as an analogy to a gene, a unit of information that can multiply and reproduce and evolves, and it evolves like by the means of natural selection, right? So maybe there are some more analogies, because there are definitions of life, multiple definitions of life in biology. The reductionist definition of life. I want to discuss mostly two definitions of life: the reductionist definition of life and the descriptive definition of life, and see how they work in the context of memes. So the standard, like the most obvious definition of life is that life is something that has the following traits: that it keeps homeostasis, it is organized, has metabolism, it grows, it adapts, responds to stimuli, and reproduce. And the troubles start when we start to consider a different, different things that seem to be alive, but they are not according to this definition, like viruses. So viruses, well, they are just particles that somehow just reproduce and evolve. So yeah, so let's go through those traits of life. So homeostasis means that, well, we keep ourselves warm inside, like we are consisted of cells. We do we burn the energy, we have metabolism, we grow, like all organisms grow. We can adapt to the environment, respond to stimuli, and yeah, and we reproduce. So this is like this descriptive definition of life that is difficult to apply to memes, because well, they are very different, and probably we will need to define some more notions to understand them better, to actually be able to find out what do we mean by being alive in this context, right? So the other definition of life is the reductionist definition, and it only says that anything that is capable of evolving is alive. So viruses are alive according to this definition, but so are, well, for example, programs that simulate evolution, because an evolution also happens. So simulated evolution is life as well, according to this definition. So it's very wide, it's very broad, and it actually tells us little. But according to these definitions, yeah, well, memes are definitely alive. And if we go to actually examine some of the existing, like the Drosophila melanogaster of memes chain letter, it's a simple memplex, which means more than a single meme that cooperate to spread better. Then maybe we'll understand more. Yeah. So that there are two informations in two memes in such a chain letter. There is an information to spread it, like the order to spread it, and that something bad will happen. So a simple one is like the example on the presentation. They can be more sophisticated. They can have like that something good will happen also if you send it, and if you don't, then something tragic will happen, right? And well, probably whoever wasn't on the internet, they are quite popular. They're quite popular. From time to time, we receive some of those from our relatives or from our friends who are afraid that, well, their family will get hurt if they don't spread this chain letter. So so it exploits our, because the threat is completely impossible to happen, right? So there can be no causation between sending a letter and someone dying, but they exploit our superstition, basically. So So yeah, they are basically parasitic viruses of the memetic world, and they do reproduce, and they do evolve, because we see people creating new, maybe more sophisticated, maybe in a image form, like this doggy, or it will be sad, something like this. But it does not have any of those. I mean, only the reproduction. It actually has the reproduction as traits, but it has no homeostasis. Such meme well, what would it even mean for a meme like this? I mean, memeplex like this to have a homeostasis. It's not organized, has no metabolism, does not grow, adapt, or respond to stimuli. So something like this is alive according to the reductionist definition of life, and is not alive according to descriptive definition. Yeah, the media, because biological life resides in, well, the information about them resides in DNA. It's stable and not functional, because it first has to be rewritten to RNA, which is not stable but is functional, and it can produce proteins, and it can do a lot of stuff. So yeah, like the coronavirus is an RNA virus, so it's not stable and evolves quickly. So it's more dangerous because of that, right? And memes have something that is actually remarkably analogous to that, because memes, the ideas that can reproduce, can be recorded in books, in writings, in videos, video recordings, podcasts, right? Because it's all conserved and unable to modify it, but not functional at all if it does not go to any mind. To if it's not like the book, when it sits on a shelf, is dead. It's basically completely dead. It has to be written by someone, and someone has to act on this knowledge, informations that is inside it. So the second medium is the brain. Right, it's very functional. People can do stuff. They can write stuff. Yeah, and memes have very recently computers that are somewhere in the middle, because computers can do mathematical operations. They can communicate, and so they are quite functional and much more stable than human memory, because that's like with a joke, when it's told to you and you forget the half, and you actually have to modify it before you to fill the gaps that appeared. so jokes spread. So, well, they can be recorded, but yeah, but jokes spread from brain to brain, and yeah, they get very modified. It's like this game, the phone.
Karol, I see that I'm still in here. Let me talk a little bit with you. It's like this time when you say something, and then you have to keep on saying the same thing to the next person, and then within 10 people the story completely changes. You know that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Yes.
So
So
in that way, computers are more stable than brain.
yeah, the computers can hold the information unchanged actually, and human brains not very much, right? So we can do like amazing stuff, interact with the environment. We can like build, we can construct, we can like make I don't know, pottery or or whatever. And yeah, computers still can't do that, but maybe soon, maybe Boston Dynamics or something, right? So maybe soon computers will join us in our well. And
or we just integrate the computer in us. What about that, Karol?
erase this part. Right? Maybe computers will destroy humanity and the memes will live on on computers. So yeah, so the definition of meme is very like wide, and well, if everything is idea, then there is complete math, because memes can reuse other memes, can be built with other memes as building blocks, and they can do it very easily, like with almost no friction. If people know other memes,
the Karens of today, the Karen. Let's make a Karen meme.
Yeah, like Karen memes. Yeah, so the memes that are being reused by other memes, the parts of the memeplex that is being reused by other memes, I want to call it a contextual memeplex. And it's because it becomes a context for other memes, and it will be very important later on, because yeah, we're building something that will be used later as in the definition of life in memetics. So a contextual meme is a meme that is being reused by other memes. So a protein is analogous to protein, that you know, the RNA creates based on the information in DNA, right? So a protein is a result of a meme acting. So it can be also an idea that can be copied, but if it is not, if it does not participate in reproduction of such a meme, of such a memeplex, then it's just a protein. So let's say, like in science, there are branches of science and there are scientific papers, and scientific papers were created in a process called a scientific process, but they are not a part of this like core idea of science. They are just the result of it acting. So I want to separate the ideas like that to have less math there, because you know, when everything is an information, then you know nothing, because everything is a meme, and then the meme of memes, and suddenly you end up not understanding anything. So it obviously depends on the context if something is a protein or not. So I want to argue that this is the way, being a contextual meme and being rearranged by other memes is actually a metabolic process for a meme like this. And those internal memes, they can also evolve, like those memes that reuse the contextual memeplex. Yeah, they reuse the contextual memeplex. Right, so this is a kind of metabolism, and so a big missing piece in this story is still homeostasis, because keeping parts synchronized, like having like the internal conditions inside itself, is the missing puzzle of memetic life. And what I want to call a contextual meme that has a consensus mechanism a monad. It's not a monad from programming, not from Haskell, but it's a monad from philosophy. Monad basically means an entity, something like this, an entity, like a singularity entity. So I want to call this a monad. So this is actually what I want to consider to be alive in the context of memetics. So we know, we know consensus mechanism because we are in. I mean, we know the term consensus mechanism because we are in the Bitcoin space. So we obviously know where it goes, my reasoning will end and why it will end on Bitcoin. But yeah, let's first examine like trivial examples from real world, because having a leader is a decent consensus mechanism. So any human organization that is able to somehow synchronize their actions across multiple people is a monad. So, for example, when we have like a CEO of a company that actually tells people what to do and what to work on next, and then this is a consensus mechanism. So yeah, basically, classical consensus mechanism are about like choosing the leader. So having a president of a country, so to say, then that is chosen by democracy is a decent consensus mechanism, really. So yeah, and the Pope is basically considered to be that Pope does not make mistakes. So whatever he says is ultimate truth, and that's a consensus mechanism as well. So basically, human organizations in general, where people are organized, can be considered as memetic beings that are alive. And now let's go to a non-trivial example. A non-trivial example is blockchain, because there is Nakamoto consensus, and it's decentralized, and probably that's why like people didn't even consider human organizations as well. That's why the definition of life, I think it was not previously very, like the descriptive definition of life was not really tackled by people, because there wasn't any non-trivial example, right? So having a non-trivial example, which is not Nakamoto consensus, we can maybe look at those things differently. Yeah, and yeah, I have a joke written here that blockchains often reproduced by somehow division of mycelium, because I like to think about this network of Bitcoin as a fungus, like a big organism that is spread around well, I don't know how it's. I should have checked. I should have looked that up before I started. But yeah, there are some funguses that are as big as the entire hills, hectares large. So I think about the network of Bitcoin as a type of fungus, and well, they do reproduce also by division of mycelium, when a chain is split, then the network is also split, and the nodes decide different things on different consensus mechanisms. Those are then separate entities, and yeah, yeah, I wanted to say something more, but I think I forgot what to say here. Never mind. So we can think about ecology in the context of monads. They can have relationships with each other, and they can have relationships with human beings, because well, some of them are parasitic, like the main example of memetics, like the thing that it was created with, is that religion is this kind of brain parasite that promises stuff, and then you do whatever it says you should, and it lives only only to be propagated to another to different people. But this is not the only relation it can have. It can be there can be competition between monads and monads, because I don't know competition between monads and human yet. They can be some symbiotic, like basically any company, any business is this kind of symbiotic being. It rewards people with well, money, with means to live, means to live, and this is kind of symbiosis. But maybe it will also help us establish something like maybe we can classify other memes, like what happens in the structure. And let's say, for example, science is this like big monad, and maybe Elsevier or other like those companies that are for profit for humans, but maybe detrimental to science itself, because they affect its communication, which is basically a consensus mechanism for science. The scientific communication is super important, and maybe the science is actually sick because it has a parasite on it, maybe. But well, that's to be figured out. Maybe not by me, but someone else. But yeah, yeah. So the idea is that if we understand the features of life and how they relate to like human organizations or other or how they relate to humans, then maybe well, we can take care about the monads that are beneficial to us better. Maybe we can like notice that they are getting sick. Maybe we can well, work on what is malfunctioning in them, and we can cure those that we like, and maybe get rid of those we don't. That's for future. And
Karol,
yeah, thank you.
I found it very interesting as well. And we have a question from Brad. Do you see that a science of memetics could establish some legitimacy?
Maybe if it searches from in other areas that are, well, maybe it's like the science of communication. It was not there until it was not meaningful until the telecommunication appeared. No, this noise, the theory. No. Notice there was no like the communication channel definition, right? So there was no need for science like this. Maybe actually having something that is non-trivial in terms of consensus mechanism will actually force us to do research on these topics.
Right, very good. Okay, Karol, thank you so much. Really appreciated your talk. I think it adds a lot of depth.
Thanks.